Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Why you so stressed? It's not that serious. And free your mind. It's gonna be alright. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe.
Hey, y'all, it's officially Girl Talk time. You're tuned into Glory 93.9 FM. It's 31 minutes gone by the 4 o'clock hour. And it's your girl, Marisha, here in your company on this beautiful Thursday. Yes, y'all, could you believe it? It's the 7th of October. I don't even know when October came. I am just like in shock. Like, when did it become October of 2021? But listen, I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to be in the land of the living. I'm excited that I may not have everything I want, but I definitely have everything I need. God is the ultimate provider. He is the ultimate sustainer. He owns the cattle on a thousand hills, the psalmist says. So if there's any lack, anything in your life that you don't have at this moment right now, take it to the Lord in prayer. I guarantee you, if it's necessary for the purpose and the plan for your life, He will open doors. He will create pathways. He will do whatever it is He needs to do to get it to you for His glory and His kingdom to be established in the earth. I'm always excited every Thursday, every time I have an opportunity to be in studio. And I am super excited about today's guest, and I'm going to introduce her in a few moments. But just before that, I want to ask you a question. This is like just straight up, like off the cuff, just popped up into my head just right now. How many times did you laugh today? I want you to really think about it. Consider it. Consider the moment you got up this morning up until right now at 4:32 p.m. How many times did you laugh today? I laughed a whole lot this morning because I decided that I was going to be late, and I decided to watch TikTok while laying in my bed so I could be late for work. And while I was watching TikTok, there's this lady. She always does like this thing where she shows a video in her background, and then she goes to the comments, and then she just like laughs at the comments. And like, I just was killing myself laughing at this woman this morning. I just like, I laughed till I choke, like that good laugh where like you can't catch yourself. Like you choking hard, but you laugh so hard. I laughed so hard at that woman this morning. But I'm asking you that because these times have forced us to be so serious, so concerned, so overwhelmed, so busy trying to deal with kids and trying to deal with our own lives, and we working from home, and some of us going to work, and some of our kids in school, and some homeschool, and some go to school some days, and some staying home some days, and you don't know if they wearing uniform today or if they wearing uniform next week, or we got to prepare for them to go back to school next week. And it's just so much that's happening, so much that's going on, and you trying to make sure you get your hair done, but you got to go to the salon with your mask on, and trying to get your nails done, and it ain't working out because your nail girl book, and and then you're trying to find clothes to go to the opening of Parliament, and you forget your Spanx. So we got so much stuff going on. And I know somebody saying she did not just said it. Of course I did. I absolutely did. The struggle is real. I just want you to, like, for real, just take this moment right here and just laugh for nothing. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds ridiculous. But laugh. Just burst out laughing. I don't care where you are. If you're in your car, I don't care if you're sitting to your desk watching me on your phone. I don't care if you in the food store listening to me over the airwaves in the food store. Just burst out laughing. Just burst out laughing. Just go. Laugh, man. Laugh. Listen to me. The Bible says that a cheerful heart is good medicine. If you ain't laugh yet, what you waiting on? All right. That's my little 5-second situation for today. I want to introduce today's guest. Now, like I do every week, I try to think about the day that I met my guest, and I am really stumped on this one. Like, this one, like, really, really got me, because to be honest with you, I feel like today's guest, she's kind of one of those people that I've always followed on social media, and she's always followed me on social media. So like there's just like this existence of following and knowing of one another. But for me, the very first time I remember having a conversation with today's guest, we actually weren't in this country. My very first memory of an encounter with her, we were in North Carolina at Global United Fellowship conference, and Danza Roll and Friends. We were singing at that conference, and she and I would have had a conversation just in passing, doing some stuff, trying to get some things in order for the group and all of that, and then exchanging some videos and photos that she would have taken while we sang. And I'm like, but that can't be the first time. Like, I was just saying to myself, that's not possible. Like, there had to have been another time where like we spoke or met, but for some strange reason, that one sticks out in my mind. So I recall that encounter, and then what I remember since then is observing just the way that she puts herself out there. Now, we live in a new era of technology for those of us who remember Atari and GSM phones. We live in a new era of technology where like some people are not as smart with things that they put out there, and then others of us, we've matured to know like what it is that we put out there and what we don't put out there. And one of the things that I admire about today's guest is that she puts just enough out there for her testimony to be a blessing to your life, but you don't know all her business, because you don't need to know all her business, because that's none of your concern. But she puts enough out there for you to know that guess what? You can go through some things in life, but here's how you can be fierce and win through whatever it is that you face, whatever it is that you're going through. So I'm super excited to introduce my guest for today, the one and only Sandina Neely. Hey, Sandina, how are you, beautiful lady?
Hey, I am super good.
You look super good. Listen, your locks are fabulous. I am so tempted. Everybody who I tell I want to lock my hair, they say, no, 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 no. Don't bother with that. You two like switch up hair.
And I switch it up all the time. You see, I don't be looking dry and boring.
No. They tell me don't do it. They
Yes.
say I do like straight hair, and then one day I go want to puff, and then they say the next thing they look like Zimmy ball.
Girl, join the lock section.
So I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. You know what? Y'all tell me how y'all feel about me getting locks. Y'all tell me in the comments. Y'all feel like I should get locks? Let me see votes. Yes or no? I think, and I just want to try it at some point in time in my life. Definitely when I decide to get a husband and children, because anybody got no time for no hair.
This is definitely low maintenance for me. I completely love it.
Yeah.
It is low maintenance. I just took my hair down out of a style.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the stylist, and when she fixes it, it'll be like that until I go to her again.
See, that's it.
Yes.
I love it. I think I want to do it. Except mine could be purple. You know what I mean? It could be purple or blue.
Mine was bleached. Now
Yeah.
it's red. Who knows what color it'll be next?
I can try
Pick a
it.
color. Pick a color.
Any color. It
Yes.
just don't matter.
Yes.
I can try it. I think about it. And I know somebody who's do it good too. So that just may be in the cards for me in the future. We can see. We can see. So how have you been? What's been going on? You've had a lot going on. Before we dive into our topic today, what's been happening with you since, I don't know, when I saw you, that was like forever ago, because we done like been through like Hurricane Dorian and like in a pandemic since then.
The whole
So
panorama.
the whole pandemonium. It's a whole pandemonium. Like crazy. It's a lot going on. So what's been going on with you? What you been up to? You've been doing a lot of things.
I am living under the grace and mercies of an almighty God.
Wow.
No joke.
No joke. Hey.
What the young people say, no cap.
No cap.
No cap. Yes. So yes, I have been doing a lot. I've
Mhm.
transitioned out of the legal field in the past 2 years. I've been working in my passion, which is youth work, something I've been doing for more than 2 decades. And now I get to do it every day. I can wake up and do it
Amazing.
every day,
It's
every day,
amazing.
every day. Yes. And so I always tell people I'm sharing from the reservoir that God has blessed me
That
with.
is awesome. That's
That's what I'm called to do in this season right now.
That's
and
awesome.
so I'm doing the work of Him who sent me. That is not even a cliche.
It's
And so
beautiful.
that's what
It's
I've
a
been doing
beautiful
for
thing.
the past 2 years.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
Helping and working to impact the lives of our young people and ensure that the word you used earlier, we have a pathway for youth development in our country.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
pathway
Yeah.
so that they can see that there's a light, there's a line to follow, and there's a way.
Mhm.
There's a way in, there's a way out.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. And so you wrote a book.
I did.
How's that been?
That, if we go back to January of this year,
Mm-hmm.
a book was not in my psyche.
Mm-hmm.
It was not in my heart. I mean, it was, overall something I always knew that I would do. Did I know that I would write a book that had anything to do with religion or spirituality? No, I didn't.
Wow.
So, in as much as I respect dream boards and vision boards and vision
Mm-hmm.
cards and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, honey, the things I'm living out now were never on any dream board of mine.
Wow.
Won't he do it?
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
you're seeing the result of someone who literally like let go and let God. Now, with the dream boards and the visions, the overall dream and vision is being impacted. But the ways that God is unfolding and unraveling it, I'm just like, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? And so, like I said, in January, I wasn't even thinking about a book. And then, through a series of prayers and, a whole public prayer journey.
Wow.
Someone who had never prayed in public
Wow.
launched a 40-day prayer journey on Facebook with people from all around the world.
That's powerful. That's amazing.
Through obedience. And we did a 7-day fast to kick off the 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second day of the fast, God said, reduce the journey to a book. And that's how the Fierce 40 was born. A 40-day devotional and prayer journal. Child, your girl is a whole author.
A whole author.
I was
with a
talking to one of
whole
my
book.
friends one day, and I said, so am I an author now?
Yep.
And she said, that's what you are. And I said, really? She said, yes. And you have to put it behind your name. And I was like, what? When this happened?
I know, right?
Yes.
I know. I was supposed to tell you to bring a book so we could have given it away to one of our listeners, but we could deal with that later. But I definitely need to get a book from you as well.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that afterwards. But I'm in awe of what God has been doing in this season in the kingdom of God. It seems like he has been opening our minds to creative ways to have impact and influence for the kingdom of God. Traditional evangelism does not look the way that it used to look. Things are shifting. The game has completely changed, and I'm just in awe of how God is doing it. I'm in awe of how God is doing it. I don't know what it's been like for those of you who you may have gifts, talents, and abilities, the way God has been using you. I know for me, he's been opening some really, really interesting doors into places that I never thought I would be. And so I say that to say this to the women out there that you're tuning into the show, whether you're listening on the radio, whether you're tuned in on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, don't close God off. Don't box him in. Don't just think that, okay, because I do this, this is the way that it's going to happen. Be open to being in some peculiar places, doing the thing that God has called and created you to do. There is so much more that he has for us. And Sandina is definitely a testimony that, listen, he could pull the book out of you, even if you feel like you can't write. He could do it. Get some help with it, though. I mean, I just saying, if you're good with the English language, get some help.
That part.
Get some help. All right, y'all. So we're gonna have a conversation today. And Sandina, I don't know how many of my shows you've tuned into, but the topics that I would have sent you, because I sent you quite a few for you to choose from. But when I was kind of in my little iffy space where I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the show anymore, without Italia, I prayed about it one night, and then God just woke me up 5 o'clock in the morning, and he gave me like 47 topics to do for the show, like all in one sitting. Just not 9 o'clock in the morning. I just was like writing down topics. And so this was actually one of the first topics that I wrote down. And nobody chose it. Every time I threw it out to somebody, they'd be like, no, I want that one. That one too hard. That one too rough. And I know for me, when I started processing the idea of hindsight and understanding things from a different perspective and farther along, knowing why it happened and getting clarity and just having peace about certain things, the first thing that came to mind for me was an experience that I'm not sure, I've shared it like really briefly, but I haven't talked about it in great detail. I spent about 6 months laying down on my back, unable to sit up or stand up for a long period of time. I used to have some really, really, really bad migraines, and I went to a physician who, of course, I trusted this physician, and I had an incorrect procedure. where too much fluid was taken out of my brain and spinal cord. And as a result, for those of you who know anatomy, your brain literally floats in cerebral spinal fluid. So if there's not enough fluid, then your brain can't float. So what would end up happening for me whenever I sat up or whenever I stood up, my brain would touch my skull and it would send electric shocks throughout my whole body. So I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit up. The only thing that I could do was lay down. And I had to like take in caffeine like you would not believe. Like my teeth were always on edge because caffeine increases cerebrospinal fluid. So my doctor was like, all the chocolate, all the Coke, all the coffee, all the tea you could drink and eat, you need to take in as much caffeine as you can to build up the fluid. And so I would just be like, sometimes I'd have like 8 to 10 cans of Coke a day, just trying to get this caffeine back into my system. But like I'm laying down in bed, like I can't move. All of the things that I would have had planned for that period of time in my life, I had to cancel. I had to ask other people to go and do stuff for me because I couldn't do anything. I was literally stuck in my bed. And as I started to try to force myself like back into life, there was a Sunday morning where I was like, I go to church. I don't care. I go to church because I'm a church girl. I love the presence of God. And I just love going to church. That's who I am. And I went to church one Sunday morning and I was sitting down in church and by this time I was transitioning where like there was a little bit more fluid there so I could handle maybe like 1 to 2 hours of sitting up, but then eventually I had to go back and lay down. And I was sitting in church that Sunday and the pain was so bad. It was so bad. I just couldn't bear it anymore. And so I went to the back of the church and I just laid down on my back. And I had done this like a few Sundays consecutively, but this Sunday I had had it. I was exhausted. I was tired. I couldn't, I just couldn't take it anymore, Sandina. I was done. And I hadn't even come back to work yet. I just was like, I just want to go and live my life. I just want to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't understand why God allowed this mistake to happen to me. Like, I don't understand, like, why did I have to be down? Why did I have to be home by myself while people live in life? I was stuck at home and I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. And, you know, people start visiting you at first, but then after a while, they got to go live their life. So, I mean, you down for 6 months.
They get compassion.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And so I was just like, I can't take this anymore. And I remember Bishop, he was talking at the time and he started singing the song, Farther Along, we'll know all about it. Farther along, we'll understand why. And he called my name and he's like, Marisha, I don't get it either. He is like, but all I'm going to say to you is farther along, we'll understand why. And while I have not made sense of the excruciating pain that I went through, because when I tell y'all, like, the pain was unbearable. I will tell you this, when the pandemic came around and everybody was freaking out about being home, I was good. I had no issues about
You
being
already
home.
prepped.
I was, listen to me, I had an experience before that prepared me for the pandemic. I was unbothered. I was cooking. I was cleaning. I was pulling down clothes in the closet I didn't wear no more.
You
And
were in your element.
listen to me, I was trying to find people to bless with clothes and stuff. And listen to me, I cleaned my house from top to bottom just about every day. I still found a way to teach voice lessons while I was on a little break, still found a way to work from home when I could, and then came into the studio when I could. And I just was loving life. How everybody was like, oh, I can't take this. I can't be home no more. And I was like, yeah, I don't do this before, so I could do this. I got this. I could. And it was so beautiful for me because I was like, wow, God, like you really weird and you strange sometimes, you know, because you use this situation to prepare me for a pandemic so I didn't lose my mind in a pandemic. I was like, you didn't really have to do it the way you did it, but it's okay. It's fine. I'm grateful still. And then I could have just like, it was one of those things that you don't really ever want to go through again. But when I was listening to the conversations of people who I would talk to and be like, I going crazy in this house. I can't take it. I need to get out of here. I just need to go for a drive. I just need to do this. I just need to do that. And I'm like, and they'd be like, you good? I'd be like, but I am so good. Like
You
I
platinum.
like I could. And I'd be like, yeah, so I gonna go soak in the tub for a couple minutes. And then I gonna go read a book. And then and then I probably can take the drapes down and wash them and put them back up. And
You had a full plan.
listen, I was straight. I was not I didn't have any cabin fever, like nothing. I was good. I was good. And so like I said, I ain't really figure out that pain part yet, Sandina. I'm not gonna lie to you, because that physical pain, that was next level.
There's
Maybe
power in the pain, though.
maybe when I have a
There's some power.
child, I will
Yes.
understand it. That's what they say. They say that, that's the ain't no worse pain other than childbirth and tooth pain. Well, I'll tell you this. I've had tooth pain, and that pain that I experienced was worse than tooth pain.
Mm.
You're talking about like literally all the sensors in your body literally like being attacked.
Right.
And so like everything was just on edge.
Yeah.
Just to go to the bathroom was just like a ridiculous experience, And so I don't understand the pain quite yet, but I will tell you this, the moments where I would have lost so much, I would have lost opportunities to go and do ministry, to sing, to interact with people, to do the thing that fuels me, the thing that drives me, to go to church, to come to work because I love what I do. I lost those moments, and it caused me to cherish those moments, but it also prepared me for a time when the whole world had to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, God, you know what? This makes sense. I get why I went through it. I get why. And I feel blessed. I feel privileged to have experienced what I did because I was prepared.
And you're living in hindsight.
I'm living in hindsight. I'm living from this perspective that like, wow, like look at how he prepared me. And then it shifted from why me to wow, God, you loved me so much that out of all of the billions of people in the world, you decided to prepare me for something that nobody else could ever really be prepared for.
And who knows, you may have been able to, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to be a light for persons who thought they would lose their mind in the pandemic.
I definitely had a few friends of mine who I was like, listen, just plan your day out. Like, just, okay, when you wake up in the morning, make breakfast, wash the dishes, and then find things to do, plan your day. Don't just sit in front of Netflix all day. Because that's what many people were doing, aside from working at home, right? Many of us was just like, okay, while we to work, the TV on Netflix. And I'm like, no, you got to find stuff to do. Like, you have to be creative. I even went to the sewing machine 2 days.
And try to have some normalcy.
Yeah. And interact with people. Make your video calls. And I had my I had my youth leaders on Zoom praying every night. They hated it. Jesus. If they on this show right now, they would talk about them nights. They'd be like, we praying again? I'd be like, yeah, what else you got to do? What you got to do? You got nothing to do. You won't go nowhere. School unfinished because we would pray 9 o'clock in the night.
Right.
So if you in CLB,
and you're supposed to be home.
Exactly. So you home. We
Right.
locked down. So I say, no, we can pray. What you doing? What you gonna go do? Watch Netflix? What you gonna do? Let's pray. Every night for the first 9 months of the pandemic, we prayed. Every night at 9 p.m. until sometimes we'd be on there till like 1 o'clock in the morning. They hated me. They really did. I'm telling you.
And I'm sure they are now living in hindsight.
Now they have reaped such great benefits from those moments and times we spent in prayer. What has it been like for you with experiencing the aftermath? Like when you look at some of the things that you went through in life and you look back at it now and you're like, oh, I get it.
Listen, there are so many what I call purpose moments.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about purpose moments, you don't know when they're happening
No.
until afterwards.
Yes.
And then the same, just as the song says, farther along, you understand. So, I can think back to the time when I was in law school and my back was against the wall and
Wow.
it didn't seem like I would finish. And then I had to have so many surgeries and then I had to do the year over,
Wow.
and it was just like chaotic and crazy, almost like I was in a storm
Wow.
for so long until I was able to grow and stretch and find my way out. And so those things I think were building, I know that they were building resilience muscles, for things that you would experience later in life. And so, like I said, when you're in them, you don't recognize them as purpose moments.
No.
Hindsight, though,
Yes.
is able to inform you of why you went through certain things.
Yes. Yes.
And, you know, this morning when I was meditating and thinking about coming here today, I have a tribe of women, my fierce women. And so I sent them a message asking them, you know, about
Yes.
hindsight
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, one or two things that they would look back on and, you know, tell their younger self.
Yeah. Like, what would you have done differently?
Yes. Because hindsight gives us that opportunity. But just as I sort of intimated before, hindsight also gives us the opportunity to ensure that other people don't go down the same
That's
path
really good.
and the same
It's really
road that
good.
we would have
Mm-hmm.
traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't let all our pain and misery be
No.
for nothing.
No.
Who out
Definitely
here doing
can't.
that?
Definitely
Who out
can't.
here doing that? And so hindsight, I think, is one of our greatest teachers. It's a lesson. We have a responsibility when we come out of our caves and our dark places. We got to go back. Some other people in
Definitely.
those caves, and we got to say, hey, come. We know the way. You know, take a left
Yeah.
here, take a right
Yeah.
there. You know, they may
Yeah.
stumble a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's our responsibility to now look back and say, not only you can do it, but this is how.
Hmm.
This is what not to do. You know, these are the rooms that you go in. This is the training to access. This is the
Yes.
path. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so we have a wonderful opportunity with this amazing thing called hindsight.
Mm.
Hindsight is a great teacher as well.
It is.
It is
It
a
is.
very good teacher. And so I think that that's our responsibility, especially as women of a certain age now that I'm embracing. You know, we're
Right.
women of a certain age who have to guide the younger ones.
Yeah.
Guide them and
Yeah.
make sure that they know farther along they'll know more about it. That's a song that I remember resonating in my spirit back in 1992 when my grandmother had passed.
Mm.
You know, I was just getting into my teenage years. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was not able to
You knew
understand
everything,
how and
right?
why my Grammy is not here anymore.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
and so I just remember listening to that song over and over and just thinking, how am I going to understand this? Like, what about
Right.
this am I going to
Right.
understand?
Right.
You know, I
Right.
can only, like you say, focus on the pain.
Right.
But all these years later, that was the first real death I remembered. And that was able to help to prepare me
For so many other
for
ones.
so many other ones. Even at a tender age, I was able to not master the feelings and the grieving process, but I'm able, even in these moments, even now, to help people as
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
grieve
Mm-hmm.
and as they, you know, suffer loss and, you know, just help them along.
It's not necessarily something that everybody's always open to, and that's what I've learned, especially like with youth ministry and the young people that come across my path. Often they not necessarily always interested in learning from somebody else's mistakes, right, or somebody else's journey. And when I think back to my younger days, some of the things that I did and some of the decisions that I made and the consequences that I had to face as a result, and the people who told me not to do what I did, and listening to, like, I could hear them like in the back of my head, be like, okay, now if you do this, this is what's going to happen. So don't do that. And then I went and did it. Because I mean, like telling a child or a teenager not to do something is like telling them, please go and do this, right? And so listening to what people had to say, and then like not acting upon what I would have heard, but just taking, my own feelings and my own perspective as truth and operating in that truth. It led me to some places, into some situations that have changed my life forever.
Mm-hmm.
Scars that have healed, but the scar is there. Like, I know this thing has happened to me because of the decisions that I've made. And I look back at being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or getting up out the house after you done been in bed. I mean, I'm gonna tell you,
Mm-hmm.
after you done in your pajamas, don't come out the house. And them nights when you don't listen, and you get up and you go out of the house, and then that thing happened that
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you never thought would have ever happened to you,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have been avoided if you'd have just stay in your pajamas in your bed.
And you're in the road in your pajamas.
Listen.
Or not properly dressed.
Exactly. And that is like that's the time when things has happened when
I still think about that today. Like if I'm just running to the store and I'm not properly dressed, something always makes me turn around
and go
and
back.
ensure that I'm properly dressed off.
You just don't know what's gonna
You never
happen.
know.
You just don't know. Things are listen to me. It's just weird. I think that the most difficult thing for me, I would say, Sandina, in reference to accepting hindsight in some of the situations in my life, is the regret of not taking on somebody's wisdom in the situations and circumstances of my life. See, for many of us, we like to say, "Oh, we have no regrets," and for y'all who live life with no regrets, you know what? I think that that's wonderful for you. There are some regrets that I have because there were some specific situations where I knew that I should not have made the decision that I made, and someone gave me wisdom as to what the right thing was to do. And I decided I was going to do what I wanted to do. And then, of course, I would have suffered consequences as a result. And I will say that, first of all, there are some things that have literally impacted the trajectory of my life where like I look at the decision that I made and I'd be like, you know what, I could have been in a different place. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I am where I am now. So I rejoice in that place. How do we navigate those places that are kind of tender? Because we could talk about hindsight and we could talk about farther along for the things that are like not that deep, for the stuff that's kind of shallow, and be like, okay, so yeah, I shouldn't have gone out and I got in that car accident, but I was years later, I don't have another car, so I could. But what about like those tender, like deep seated, like rooted things where like we can't even tell people like what really happened when we made the wrong decision because it's embarrassing. It's kind of like unbelievable that we even found ourselves in those situations, and it's the stuff that we carry around that sits at the root of every issue that we have in our relationships, and it's affecting how we parent our children. And it
shows up in every relationship,
in every area of our lives. It's affecting how we interact with our friends, how we're interacting with our spouse, whether or not things work out with our spouse, all of this stuff. It's affecting our relationships at church, our coworkers, our boss, everything. Like even the man on the side of the road who just asking us for $1, he's get a piece of our mind.
Because it's a me matter.
How do we navigate as women through those things where we don't allow them to become strongholds in our life, where we're out of control?
Yes. So you're like spot on. That's not just a me matter, but the part of me, that's a heart matter.
Yes.
And so there are two things that I would encourage persons to do. People always say, oh, it's time to do introspection and do this and do that.
Yeah.
So I had this experience years ago where I had to make peace with my regrets.
Wow.
You have to
How
make
did you
peace
do that?
with you. That's a heart matter. You have to make peace with your regrets. So you have to go back in the annals of your mind to those things, those places, those times, those things that people don't know about, that you don't even talk about.
No, that you don't want anybody to know about.
People that say you'll take them to your grave.
Right. The skeletons.
You have to visit those places, even go back to those times. You have to visit them. And you have to confront who you were in those times. And you have to be okay with that person. You're
That's
not
really
able to change it. You're not able to change it. We know that. 100%?
Yes.
We know you cannot change it.
Right.
So you have to look at that person literally through the eyes of your mind, and you have to make peace with that person, because you're at war with that person,
Absolutely.
You're at war with what she did and what she didn't say.
Right.
And what she should have done.
Yeah.
And she cannot help you anymore. The only you that can help you is the you that exists today. But guess what we do? We allow the you from 10 years ago and 6 months ago and 5 years ago to still be overpowering the you we are today.
And we live paralyzed.
Yes. And so when we make peace with what happened, we leave that right there. We make a pact with that person, who we were. And we say, okay, that happened. And now I've moved on. but we have to like honestly and seriously move on. And we in the body of Christ, we know we take things to the altar and then walk off from the altar with it.
Yes, all the time.
We
We
do it
cry
all
and
the
we
time.
holler and we carry it with us.
Exactly. And so we have to make peace with our past or
Mhm.
those regrets and make a new pact. And so the pact I made several years ago was that I will live my life with as few regrets as possible. And that doesn't mean regrets aren't going to come,
No.
but I'm going to be okay with it. And so
Mm.
even when the moments happen, listen, I'm not trying to come back to those moments.
That's
Ain't no more
good.
going back.
That's
So
good.
in the moment when I know this is a potential situation where I'm going to have a regret or I
Mhm.
may not like this decision, I have to think it through as much as I possibly can so that I can look at myself years from now and say, if I had the opportunity I had, if I look back, I'm comfortable with the decision I made
That's really
because I
good.
thought it through.
That's
And
really good.
I'm literally very serious about that. I mean, and sometimes, it's quicker than others. It could be, a decision, a
Yes.
job, or this or
Yes.
that.
Yes.
You understand? And so the
Mhm.
more you do it, the easier it becomes for you to make peace as you go along so that you don't have a whole stack of things that you're looking back on trying to make peace with. And the second thing is to forgive yourself.
Easier said than done.
To forgive yourself. We think it's easier said than done until we start to do it
Hmm.
because we don't like to give ourselves grace. We can give
No.
other people grace and we talk to other people about grace and beat ourselves up so much.
Wow.
That's not what hindsight comes to teach us.
No.
We're supposed to grow from hindsight and be stronger and better and wiser, not just a cliche.
That's so good.
We have to be seen to be stronger and wiser. So, yes, the pandemic has been really, really rough on a lot of people. However, just like you said, look at how much stronger you were. Look at how much wiser you were. Now, suppose you hadn't made peace with what happened, which you did,
I had to.
right?
I
Suppose
had
you
to.
hadn't. You know how devastating the pandemic could have been for you?
I would have been like, God, you got me going through this again.
And you could have regressed.
Yes,
And
definitely.
a lot of people actually did.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see?
Mhm.
And so that's why I say it's easier said than done. There are pieces of yourself that even you forgave.
Hmm.
You may not have even named it forgiveness, but that's what you did. So making peace with our past, making peace with those regrets, and I mean like it's something that only you can do.
Yes.
Nobody else is going to know.
Hmm.
You have to make peace with it. And making peace with it, we sometimes use these romantic terms and these sexy terms, but it's just being okay with it. Like that
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. Even if someone brings it up, even if it's a scandal, even if it's something less than
Yeah.
unsavory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be okay with it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happened. I
And
did
once
that.
you're okay with it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what people say. And then it would, you would see that it affects you less and less.
I think what's most difficult for us in that process is actually forgiving, because I think in some ways we forgive ourselves the way that we forgive other people, which is not real forgiveness. Right? So what we do is we tell ourselves that I'm no longer going to allow this person to do what they did to me again. And we say that we release them. And when we see them, when we interact with them, we pretend like everything is good and we put on a facade. But the reality is we're playing over and over and over and over again in our minds the thing that they did to ensure that they don't get an opportunity to do it to us again. And I don't know what it's been like for you, Sandina, but I've realized that that's not forgiveness. And when I heard my pastor preach a sermon one time and it kind of irritated me, but then like the Holy Spirit had to deal with me personally on it, because he said that Jesus gives us the ultimate example of forgiveness. Forgiveness means that I give you an opportunity to hurt me the same way you hurt me again, because that's what Jesus does.
Standing right in that same position.
Same
over
position.
and over again.
Over and over and over and over again. And so for many of us, we don't know how to forgive ourselves truly. True forgiveness means we put ourselves in the same situation that we were in to make a better decision for ourselves.
Perfect.
And
yes.
it's something that we're not really good about with ourselves, because what we normally do is when we find a weakness or we find an area in our lives where, okay, hindsight has taught us, you know what, don't mess with that because you ain't good with that. And then what we do is we rob ourselves of an opportunity or a possibility because we tell ourselves, okay, you know what? I ain't bottom of that no more because obviously I couldn't handle it.
Right.
We don't challenge ourselves to grow in those areas of our lives.
Mhm.
And so we're actually holding unforgiveness against ourselves by separating ourselves from the opportunity of actually healing, releasing, and being able to make a better decision in a
trusting
similar
ourselves
situation.
again.
Yes. We don't trust ourselves, which is why we don't trust people. That's why we don't trust people. And then we wonder why our girlfriends are like, why are you so catty? Like, what happened to
Just
you? Like, why are you so
rah,
bitter?
rah.
Like, why are you always clapping back at people? Like, calm down. And we wondering why people are shying away from us. And we wonder
Mhm.
why we feel so isolated. And we
Mhm.
wonder why nobody's calling us, but you call everybody. And they talk to you for like 3 minutes and then they be like, okay, I gotta go because I mean, think about what it is that you're holding on to in reference to yourself. It may not seem like something that you're putting out there consistently, but people can tell.
Yeah, because you
People can
exude
tell.
it, you know.
It's one of those things that can't be hidden when
It's palpable.
bitterness,
Yeah,
when
it's palpable.
bitterness and
You can almost
unforgiveness.
taste it. You can almost
Yes.
feel it when you walk into a room. And so I think that that's a commitment we have to make to ourselves to ensure that we're good on the inside.
Yes.
Because if we're not, people are going to know. And especially these young people we're dealing with
Oh, they
these
see
days.
through straight
Listen,
through you.
you can't
Straight.
you can't fool them. Okay? They see you a mile away. So they will teach you to be authentic
Definitely.
even if you aren't. And guess what authentic means? Authentic doesn't mean everything's going to be right or perfect.
No.
Authentic just means we're going to see what is.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yes.
We're going to see what is. So it's our responsibility, it's our job to ensure that we're good. That's all.
We place our stability, I think, too much in the hands of other people.
Why do we keep relinquishing?
And that's why we're so unstable. And that's why we don't learn from the past. Because the mistake that we made in the past is that we placed our happiness in the hands of somebody else, right? And we recognize, you know what, this person really should not have so much influence on my happiness. I should be able to
Try my happiness too
be
important.
happy by myself. So then what we do is, we create this, like new mantra, I'm going to be happy being me. But then someone else comes along and we make the same mistake. Because the reality is, if we tell ourselves the truth, we don't really know how to be happy by ourselves. No one exemplified it for us. When we look at society today, everyone's kind of hung up on what the people have to say, whether or not they exist in a social media world or not. That's just the way humans are now. Like,
Well,
everybody.
Monday fixed that for a lot of people.
Well, some people was lost, and
They had 6+ hours to find themselves.
it's a lot of time. There's a lot of time for me. Unfortunately, because I belong to the Apple Nation, people still was iMessaging me, and I was like, "Yo, come on, Dred." Like, I was looking forward to a quiet phone today. I guess not, but it's something that I think I had to learn. I don't know what the experience was like for you. I'm still learning. Let me be honest about it. There are moments in my life where I find myself choosing happiness. And then there are other times where I'm like a bad child. And I'm like,
But it is a choice. You use the perfect word. Happiness is a choice. And so with choices, it's something you have to commit to over and over again, as often as you need to. So don't beat yourself up. Today you may choose violence.
Yep.
Tomorrow you may choose happiness. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you choose happiness more days than
yes. Make
And
sure
then,
that the good outweighs the bad.
one of my friends, Dr. Gandhi Thompson, she was, schooling me the other day on the law of abundance. The more you do it, the more you attract it.
Oh, that's really good.
And so if you choose happiness more days than not, you'll want to be choosing happiness more and more. You're going to attract it
That's good.
more and more. And so, yes, it is a choice. And we have to commit to that decision for ourselves.
We have to love ourselves enough.
Yes.
We have to love ourselves enough to learn from our wins and losses. And I think the thing that I've experienced most in life is like looking at my failures and being like, again, Marisha? Like, come on, Dre. No, for real. Like, if I could say what is the most like recurring thing that I experience in my life, it's like when I take a moment and I sit back and I look at what I did, I'd be like, it's a different situation, it's a different circumstance, it's different people, but I made the same mistake.
Right.
And I'd be like, girl, what is your problem? Like, stop this. Like, stop it.
That's God saying, but did you learn?
And for every time,
But did you learn?
I'm like, okay,
And every time God is right there, but did you learn?
did you learn?
You
Did you
forgot
learn?
you forgot what the inimitable Loretta Butler Turner said? I don't lose. I learn.
Oh, that's good. That is so good.
We are going to keep repeating the same things over and over if we don't learn. God have time. He have time today. Trust me. He have time.
He got lots of time.
So if you want to keep doing it, he have time.
He has a lot of time. Wow.
So we have to learn.
Wow.
And a lot of times we just have to ask ourselves, what am I meant to learn in this moment?
Wow.
What did this come to teach me? Not why did this happen to me, but more so, what did this come to teach me? And that's not always an easy question. It's it's not always the question that comes to the forefront of our minds. But this is where our habits and our practices and our values come up.
Yes.
And our accountability.
Yes.
We have to have so many strategies and so many things, not just up our sleeve.
No.
It has to be our practice. I always tell people we're the CEO of our lives, We're there trying to run everything else, and
Our
this
lives
ain't
are a
together.
mess.
But we are the CEO of our lives. We have to treat our bodies like a Fortune 500 company. We have to treat our lives, our calendar, our time, our energy, our motivations, all of that like a Fortune
we have to be
500
intentional.
company.
We have to be intentional.
Girl, intentional is my word.
We have to be intentional. There's so many comments here. I'm just going to get a few in because we just been talking and ignoring y'all. I sorry, y'all. I flashed a few up earlier. Let's jump right here. Raquel says your hindsight becomes a roadmap for someone else. That's so true.
Yes.
Shariel Motamore says awesome testimony.
That's my mama.
Oh, that's your mom. Hi, mom.
Yes.
Our God can do anything. He's magnificent, miraculously wonderful. Your mom sounds like she's amazing.
She is.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Raquel says Grammy them know best. They usually do. Typically, they know much better than us because they've been here longer than we have. Yes, here's Gandhi. She says, make peace with your regrets. That is so important. That is so important. Felicity Darville says, learn to love yourself properly, or you can't properly love anyone else. Hey, Felicity, thanks for tuning in. Gandhi says, LOL, Raquel Sharon would say, stop doing dumbness. It's so true.
Listen, she loves to say that. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Gandhi.
But we shall learn. Oh my gosh. Raquel is be telling me the same thing. We should stop doing dumbness.
Listen, she need to write a book named How to Stop Doing Dumbness.
Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce his name, Gandhi. She says, Peter Scarazzo, is that it? Scarazzo often says, God is not only present in the successes of life, he is present in our failures. Now, that is truth. That is real.
That'll preach.
That is so real. When I think about some of the things that I've done, of course, we all have that stuff that people would never know about. We all got them things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about the things that I've done that people have been like exposed to, like the stupid stuff I've said and done. And, how I've learned from it. I think one of the difficulties in making peace for me, Sandina, this is just my journey, I only speaking about me, I think is that people still expect me to make those same mistakes after I've learned from those mistakes. And I choose not to make those mistakes over and over again. The expectation of people around me to be that same person oftentimes in the past has caused me to slip back into that mold of what they expect me to be. Right. Because it's a weird thing. We don't like to talk about it as Christians because, we don't want to have conversations about energies and putting things out there because we think that it's too airy-fairy and it sounds, anti-spiritual and it doesn't sound Christian. But the reality is if I'm in a room of people and they have encountered me in a certain way, shape, or form, they will come into that room with an expectation to encounter me in that same way. And it's the way the spiritual realm works that I've learned. I've learned that the scripture says faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So I've encountered on so many different occasions my apathy and my excitement giving me two different outcomes. So there have been times where like I'm in a room and like the move of God is so powerful and I'm completely missing it because apathy has set in.
Right.
I'm disconnected emotionally, mentally, and spiritually from what's going on in the room. And there have been times when like, I mean, people's ears would have popped open and I mean like crazy like healings would have taken place and I did not feel a piece of God in that same space. And then there were other moments where I could see that the room is trying to figure out what in the world is going on with Marisha because in that moment I feel God so strong, so heavy. Like I feel like I going crazy. Like y'all can't feel this. Like y'all can't feel Jesus. Jesus is here. Don't you know? And I think a lot of times we make these things a little, we shun them. Let's say that.
Right.
We shun it because we don't want to have that conversation because we don't, people use it in the context of the universe and all that stuff that they talk about. And so we don't want to have the conversation at its place of truth where God is the author. He's the source of all things.
Yes.
So the reality is the way that we encounter others, the way that people encounter us is based upon the expectations that are placed on us. And a lot of times we fall into the trap of meeting the expectations of who we were in the lives of other people. And so it makes the lessons that hindsight is supposed to bring, it makes them a little bit harder to live out because a part of meeting the expectations of other people is that people-pleasing aspect that all of us have in us in some way, shape, or form, where we feel the need to please the people around us and satisfy whatever craving or desire or whatever it is that they have because we want to be accepted.
Yes.
And we want to be not only just accepted, but we don't want the door to rejection to ever be opened. So we slide back into our previous modus operandi where we were like, well, that's what they expect me to do. So even though I know what's going to happen, I'm just going to do this because there's an expectation that exists. Our theme for this season of this show, and it's probably going to be like forever the theme, find your tribe. Who you have around you that's expecting you to be the old you? Who is placing the expectation of the lessons that you've already learned in your mistakes? Who's expecting you to do it again and relying on you to make that mistake because that's the version of you that they know and they're holding on to that? And in their conversations with you, they're pushing you into that place. Like, who is it that you have around you that's making you spend all your money on clothes and shoes when you know you need to save and pay your bills? Who is it that you have around you that have you gossiping about your friends and you're not supposed to be? Have you talking bad, but the people who you're supposed to be loving and caring about? Who is it that has you not spending the amount of time with your family that you should be because they don't check for their family, so you ain't checking for yours? Who is it that is like, girl, you late to go back to work? Don't worry about that. That's fine. Don't worry about that. You could be good. There are people, they need you on that job. Wait, what you mean? You could be half an hour late from lunch. Who is it that we have in our lives that's like not necessarily the devil's advocate, but they're just encouraging us to make the same mistakes?
I was talking with my spiritual mom this weekend, and she said something that was so powerful. It's very, very short, but she said, it's not always that something is sinful. It may not be sinful, but it can be harmful.
That's so good.
And so we walk this thin line where something may not be a sin, but is it helping us to walk in the direction that we need to go? No. Yet we keep walking in that direction. We keep having lunch and dinner with things that don't serve us.
That's so good.
Sitting up, eating to the table of idleness.
Oh, my gosh.
Why? What does the meme say? Stop it. Stop it.
Stop it.
We have to catch ourselves. The Bible says we have to come to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so We have to determine when we've had enough.
Let's go
We have to
good.
recognize the patterns. Yes, we all have the categories of people that you've talked about, but the more we grow and the more we live, and trust me, growing will cause some of those people to fall away.
Most definitely.
Because the higher you go, they're not able to go. They're so weighed down. They can't make the journey.
The air's
They
a lot
want to,
thinner up there too.
Yeah, and they're very heavy. So they're not before long, you're not even going to notice that they're not there. They're gonna miss you because they need you. But you're gonna be so high up, and it's nothing, against them.
Right.
Because they can be where you are as well, They can be there too. But if they are only there, just to weigh you down, listen, you can't apologize for being great.
No.
I always look at people, I say, listen, I need you to be great.
Be great.
Yes, I need you to be great. If I'm out here being great, I need you to be great too, because you have things that only you can do.
Exactly.
Just how I have things that only me can do, and I'm doing them, and I can do them, honey.
And there's no competition.
And I can do them, honey. So I need you to be doing what you need to be doing.
Exactly.
Then you wouldn't be worrying about what I'm doing. Because we out here doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I had somebody say to me just this week, I was having a phone conversation and they were making a comment about someone who does something similar to what I do. And they said, you was watching this live show with this person, and what they doing? And I was like, babe, I don't know. Because I don't watch it. Because I don't have time. Because I am so busy focused on what it is that I do that, like, so all days do that. I didn't even know. I was like, wow, you just informed me of something that I did not know. And it's not because I don't want to support what the person is doing, but my reality is, like, I'm so focused on what it is that God has called me to do that I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
I don't even apologize for that anymore.
I didn't see it.
I'm like, you need me to help you find some stuff to do? Come here. Let's come to Jesus.
Yeah.
Hold your hands. I could give you a list. We got to be out here being busy,
Yeah.
We got to be out here being busy. People have the wrong concept of busyness or being active and that kind of thing. And we have the wrong concept. We think it's just doing. But you have to do things with a purpose. You have to do things to bring you to a necessary end. And if we're all out here doing what we're supposed to do, man, listen, I talk about this all the time at work. If everybody would just stay in their lane.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If everybody would just stay in their lane, we all get where we need to be going.
I think the difficulty for many of us, and this is what I've learned too, in experiences and making mistakes and having triumphs and successes, the thing that I noticed that was at the foundation of every one of my successes, Sandina, was I identified with the truth of that matter or that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, let's say, like, I've had great success in my styling business. I have clients who people don't even know about. Like, they don't even know that, like, I'm styling these people's, like, everyday lives. Like, they get out the house wearing clothes and people think they putting their outfits together themselves, not knowing that, like, I laying out their outfits for, like, the next 20 days.
Yes.
And so my styling business has been amazing. It's been incredible. And I've had great success there. And I noticed at the core of my success with my styling business was I understood, and this is what I tell people all the time, I do not sell clothing. I do not own a boutique. No, I am not going to sell you a piece of clothing. I'm going to tell you where to get it from, or I will shop for you. You give me your money. I don't sell clothes.
You understand your assignment.
I understand the assignment. I am not interested in becoming a boutique owner. I am not interested in selling shoes, jewelry, handbags, clothes, but I can tell you where to find it.
You have a very good eye.
I could tell you how
And
to
you
put
are
it
very
together.
aware.
And I could tell you, listen, buy this, and you could wear this with this, with this, with that, and people wouldn't even realize
And
it's
you
the
be
same
styling,
piece of clothing.
girl. You be
So
styling.
I understand that my success is in my identity, and my identity is in this particular situation. I don't sell things.
That's good.
I show you how to put things together. That's what I do. And I think the issue for so many of us as women is we don't know who we are at our core. When we don't know who we are, comparison is the thief of joy. So what we do is we compare ourselves to everybody else.
Mhm.
We borrow from everybody else.
Mhm.
And so then we create a nasty environment that only women can create,
Mhm.
because for some strange reason, men don't do this stuff, only us. And we create a nasty environment where, like, somebody's having an event and now they're thinking, well, oh no, I can't invite Sandina and Marisha because,
Mhm. Mhm.
I saw Marisha do that thing with Sandina doing. Now it's like them two can't even be in the same room together. So, someone's having something and they're like, oh, but we can't, Sandina and Marisha can't be in the same room together. And these are the kind of environments that we create when we don't show ourselves in who we are, in our identity. I say it all the time. I got it from my pastor. The things that I do flow out of who I am. I don't
Yes.
do from a place of doing, I do from a place of being. So I know who it is that God has called me to be. I know what it is that He has called me to do.
Mhm.
And when anything comes and threatens that, I can say, yeah, no, that's not who I am.
Mhm.
That's not who God has called me to be.
Mhm.
That's not what I've been called to do. That's not the direction that I'm supposed to be going in. And I can say yes, and I can say no, and I can make decisions, and I can have clarity on direction and the path that's set before me, because I've identified who it is that God has called me to be and what it is that He's called me to do. And I think the greatest hindrance to learning from our mistakes is if you don't have that point of reference, if you don't know who you are,
Mhm.
then hindsight has no power in your life. It has no effect.
And a commitment to be honest with yourself.
Ah,
You know how many people lie to themselves?
I do.
I heard a
I'm
statistic.
guilty.
I heard a statistic
I'm
that
guilty,
people tell
definitely.
themselves lies more than 20 times a day.
Wow.
And other people, like more than 20 times a day. That's a lot.
I'm definitely guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really guilty. Like, I had a moment the other day. I had to apologize to people. It was so silly, Sandina. You're gonna laugh when I say this. I had a moment. We did the tribute for the late, can't believe I saying this, Shaniqua Hannah Thurston the other day, and I would have sang with the group of women. And somebody sent me a screenshot of a particular camera angle. I'll show it to you after the show. And I saw myself from a particular camera angle. And it's the first time I've ever seen myself from a particular camera angle. And I was like, Marisha, you've been lying to yourself. You see how you look in this thing? No, for real. Like, I had a whole moment where I had never seen myself in that way. And I was sitting there and I was like, don't wear that no more. See, because there's the conversations that we need to be having with ourselves that we don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had the conversation with myself and I was like, boo, don't wear that no more. Don't do it. Don't wear that no more. Like, for real, I literally had that conversation with myself. I was like, don't do that. Because you and I was sitting there like,
You was mad with yourself.
I was mad, but I was like shocked. And I was like, I was confused. I was like, this is what people is be. And then I had a moment. I was like, you know what? If I saw me walking past me with that on, I'd be like, well, mother sick, look at that. Like, and I just had this moment. I was like, don't do that again. Like, I was fussing myself, but I was laughing at myself at the same time because I was in complete oblivion. But like, I was also happy about it. Let me tell you why I was happy. I was happy that nobody else had to point it out to me, because I'm very uncomfortable when people point out things about me. So,
Right.
that's my little thing that me and God working on right now.
Right.
And so I was
Gotta
glad.
always have something you're working on.
Yeah. So I was glad that it was something that I saw and not somebody had to be like, you see this? Like, so I was kind of glad it was like one of those things that I saw for myself. But then too, I was also really happy that like I could laugh at a decision that I made that wasn't necessarily the best decision, because there
Right.
was a point in time in my life where something like that would have put me into a deep depression,
Growth.
because
Growth.
the former prideful version of me would have been distraught over making a mistake and not free to do something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I am so free to be wrong right now that if you tell me, Marisha, that thing that you did to me man, like I was angry, and I'd be like, yeah, I was angry too. I was so stupid. I am sorry. Because I say the dumbest things sometimes, and I really should not have done that. Like, I am just, Sandina, I am so free now. Like, I did that.
Freedom
Yeah,
feels good, eh?
I did it. Absolutely. I did it intentionally.
Mhm.
Some cases I'd be like, yeah, no. It was intentional. Like I thought about it. I processed it before I did that stupid thing. And I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
And it might have been yesterday too.
Mhm.
Like the thing that I did, it might have been yesterday. But what I've learned is I can't learn from a mistake if I'm not willing to be honest about the fact that it was a mistake in the first place.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think we as women we have to be more gracious with ourselves, but I think we
Oh,
need to
yeah.
be our sister's keeper sometimes too.
Yes, we do. We do.
We have to be our sister's keeper sometimes. Let's get the excuse comments coming in here. My gosh, my gosh. Tina Neely says, that's it, Marisha Walker. They expect you to, and sometimes you do. It's so true. It is so true. Greg Mott says, I know it's girl talk, but I'm tuning in anyway. That's my
That's my
girl.
dad.
Oh my gosh, your dad.
Yes.
That's awesome. Hi, Dad. Welcome to Girl Talk. Gel Song says, always please God and not man. Candy says, courting the enemy. Oh, we'd like to do that, eh?
Having lunch with him and dinner and brunch too.
When we court the enemy, we will never understand the assignments.
Yep.
I think this is, I can't pronounce his name. Super awesome job, Auntie Dina from Donique. That's Donique.
Yes, my niece.
Oh my goodness. Gel Song says, oh, if it's not God, it is the devil. No gray area. So if it is harmful, it is not of God. That's true. Every good thing isn't a God thing either, too.
Mhm.
Raquel says, do you, boo, and I'ma do me.
Oh yeah.
And the other Raquel, Sharon, she said, please stop it.
I feel the book coming.
Oh my God.
How to stop doing dumbness 101.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And Larry Clark, you said church guys do it too. Trust. What is that? What is it that you're talking about? Let us know what you're referring to. Yeah, so I don't know. Sandina. I don't know what it will take for us to really be better versions of ourselves on a consistent basis. I know I could definitely be more consistent. That's my truth.
Mhm.
There are times when I'm not interested. Like, and if y'all tell the truth, y'all know you have those days too where you be like, you know what? To be intentional today is going to require so much energy, and
We drank the Kool-Aid, adulting is hard.
Yeah.
Adulting is hard.
I told Lady Robin the other day, I said to her, if somebody told me when I was a teenager and I was all hyped up and like overly excited and ready to grow up too fast,
Thought we knew everything.
that adulthood was about being sleepy all the time because you never get enough sleep, I would have say, can I just stay in high school, please? Thanks. And I don't even, listen, I don't have no husband and no children, and I be trying to find sleep.
Like my son never wants to go to sleep, and I'm just looking at him thinking,
Sleep.
wish I could go to
Sleep now.
right
Sleep
now. all the time. All the time. And like, so adulting this is an experience.
It's ghetto.
It is. Somebody messaged me that today.
It's
She said,
ghetto.
Adulting is ghetto.
It's ghetto.
Who decided this?
Not
I need to speak
it.
to the
I
manager.
know, right? I would like to go
I need
back.
to speak to the manager.
But then I have to find like the right place to go back to. So I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I want to go back to that place where I just learned how to communicate with humans, and they still had to do things for me. So that's like that toddler age, like 3, 4, like
Oh, you're very specific.
3, 4, like 5. Because like at that point in time in life,
You're
like
still cute,
you're still cute.
and they still doing stuff.
They
for
still
you.
picking you up, you know.
Mhm.
But you could communicate what you want. I don't want to go back to that place where I can't communicate what I want, because that's frustrating. You can't understand. No, I want water. Don't give me juice. I want water. Like I don't want chips. I want fruit snacks.
No, I gotta
Like,
spit this out.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
I want to go to that place where I can say, Mommy, I want fruit snacks. I want chips. And then she, do whatever she have to do to be like, okay, Marisha want this. That's the place that I would like to go back to, because this adulting thing, this is just like, it's overrated. None of us asked for this.
We drank the Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
and we were trying to get here so hard. Now look at us. Just look at us. Some days good, some days. Child.
Oh my god.
I be sitting down like, Who fixing the food now?
I know, right?
Oh, that's me. Hey, y'all ain't cooking yet.
Y'all ain't cooked yet. Oh, for me, let me tell you what it was for me recently. For me, it was walking into church and realizing that I'm the person who has to preach and the people waiting on me.
It came full weight.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. I ain't going to receive. I go in to be the
It's you,
vessel
boo.
through which God
It's you,
gives.
boo.
I was like, Jesus, there's something, man. And I was sitting in my car and I was like, all right, boo, you better hear God tonight because
Mm-hmm.
they waiting on you.
Waiting.
They waiting on you. And after I was done, like I was sitting there and I was like, oh, okay, God, we made it through that. And you often think, okay, that's it. I did that. That moment was done and over. And then later on that night, my phone goes off, and one of the young people's like, so Minister Marisha, I did this dumb thing. I go and get a tattoo. My mommy told me not to get a tattoo, and now she's threatening to throw me out the house. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
Lord.
Jesus. So it hits me that, like, okay, so I can't just stand up in front of y'all and talk to y'all. Like,
No.
y'all gonna be messaging me
It's a
personally.
process and a journey.
And I'm like, okay, so whoever signed me up for this. Oh, that was me. Oh, I signed myself up for this. All right. So, okay, let me see. So go apologize to your parents. And I was like, where this tattoo is, like, and I find out all this information, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, okay, so this is what I signed up for, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's do this. And while I'm dealing with that, like 3 or 4 other messages coming in, Miss Marisha, I just tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit life. I'm exhausted. Me too. Me too.
Join the line.
It's a long life. It's a long life, And but I'll tell you this, Sandina, I wouldn't do it any differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have it any other way. And I can say that now because here again, we're talking about hindsight. I know what it was like when I first came out of Bible college. I graduated with this double bachelor's degree, and I have all these certifications under my belt, and I have this associates in music education, and I got all this stuff. And I go on 23 job interviews when I was in Canada, and I got no for all of them before I moved back home. And then I came back home and I applied everywhere where I was qualified to work, and they were like, no, we can't hire you because you're a single female. And we don't like single females in leadership positions in church. So I take a job to Atlantis at Dolphin Key, dealing with the dolphins.
No comprende.
Like, what?
No comprende.
Like, I'm sorry, what am I doing with my life here? Like, what? And then God connects me with this amazing church. Like, when I tell people all the time, I hear your cliche stories about how your church changed your life. Listen to me. My church literally transformed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Connected with this ministry, and my life went from 0 to 1,000 in a matter of months. And then all of a sudden, the same places that wouldn't hire me because I was a single female in ministry was now trying to take me from where I was.
Right.
All of a sudden, I went from no to being in demand. And then I sat there and I said to myself, anyways, and I just did what I had to do. Sandina, I know what it's like to be in a place where there is no demand placed on your life, where nobody wants to hear anything that you have to say, where you're in a place of hopelessness because every plan that you've set out for your life has failed. It has fallen apart. The ideas and the concepts that you had in your mind that you prayed about before you made the decision that you made, and you were like, okay, this is what's going to happen. And I set this out to do this. And then none of those things happen. And I know what it's like to be purposeless, to feel like you heard God, but then the way things panned out is like, no, I made the worst decision ever in my life, and this is not what God wanted for me or from me.
Right.
I know what that is like. And so I say to the woman out there who's looking at the most recent decision that she's made, and she's saying, oh boy, I went out on a limb with this.
Right.
I took a risk, and now I have no idea if this made any sense. If God told you to do it, hold on for just a little while longer. Farther along, you're going to understand why. I get it now. I get it why I had to get 23 no's. It had to get me out of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I had to leave Canada. I wanted to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I would have been a singing sensation.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been
Mm-hmm.
over there making music, touring with bands. I mean, I've been living my best life. I would have still been on radio because I did radio while I was in college. So I was like, yeah, I'd have been doing it. Like, it would have been amazing. But God said, no, that's not what I have for you. And in the season of your life that you are in right now, go back home. Go home. He saved me from so much, Sandino, but he saved me to the life that I have now. And I think for us as women, it's hard for us to trust a heavenly father when our earthly fathers weren't necessarily the most consistent men in our
Mm-hmm.
lives. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard for us to trust the plan of the ultimate planner when we look at the plans that we've made and they've all fallen apart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But farther along, we will understand why.
And you know what I think we need to pay specific attention to as well? The scriptures tells us to wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
And I wrote about this year. Waiting needs to be seen as serving.
Mm.
We need to be serving. And so maybe, yes, you were called home to
Mhm.
serve and
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so sometimes we see waiting as a laborious task.
That's so good.
Or,
Sandina.
it's something that makes us impatient and, we're just hanging on. But we need to, the wait staff at a restaurant, what do they do?
They
They're serving.
serve. That's so good.
Right? And so we think we're waiting on God when we're just like, hi, I'm sitting here waiting on that little thing. But he's there waiting on you to serve.
Yeah.
He's waiting on you to be that wait staff.
He does not use people who are not already busy. Everyone, when you look throughout all of scripture, when you look through all of the great women and men of faith, they were busy doing stuff and God pulled them out of their busyness and gave them more stuff to do.
Yes. Because you are an approved workman. You
That's
you
really
show
good.
yourself approved.
Yeah.
How else would he know to trust you?
Why would I?
We do it every day in our daily lives. We don't want you're not gonna go to the man who's changing tires to get a mortgage.
No, absolutely not.
And you're not gonna go to the man who is doing the mortgage to cook you a meal. It just doesn't follow.
It doesn't make sense. What is it that you are not willing to learn from in your life? That's the question that I wanted to leave.
What is it that
With-
I'm not
Yeah.
willing to?
Is there something that you're resisting? And this is not just for you, this is for the women out there, for us to consider. Like, is there any area of your life where you are personally resisting the growth that you should be experiencing from that mistake? Like, there's this like, no, because we all have that little girl in us
Mhm.
who's like, I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. I want to do it. No, I want to do it my way.
I lead a quiet resistance to total surrender.
Oh,
A quiet resistance
wow.
to total surrender. I surrender. I do. I surrender. I completely surrender. But when you talk about total surrender, it's where you're not looking over your shoulder or questioning God or getting anxiety and all of that.
Oh, that's so
and
good.
I'm working on that. I'm really, really working on that because when especially when we were children, and even now we do it when you're on the beach and you go in the water, in order to float, you have to become weightless.
Yes.
Right? Like you cannot be thinking of anything else, otherwise you're gonna sink.
Exactly.
You cannot be doing anything else. You have to get completely weightless. That's where I want to get in God.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Can you imagine that? We have to be able to experience that, man. That can't be elusive.
It can't just be a thought
Can't just be a
or
thought.
an idea. It has to be a reality.
Why do I quietly resist it?
For me, what it is I think that I can be very welcoming when you first encounter me as a person. But whenever an individual starts to see parts of me that I'm not quite sure about, I put up my gloves.
Because you feel exposed.
And I don't like the idea of being exposed. So I told you, like, this thing that God and I are working on, where like whenever somebody corrects me, I have to remain silent.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot respond.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do, my response will always be either resistance or an attack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's more or less not necessarily a response, but more so in a reaction. So my choice and response is to remain silent, because if I react, I'll be like, you used to it too. So why are you coming to tell me about what I used to do? And like, because
You get defensive.
oh yes, listen to me. And immediately I start
Get on the offense.
I start throwing the blows, and I put my gloves on, and I'm like, you coming at me?
Mm-hmm.
You won't see what you doing. Like you won't see the things that you supposed to be doing, and you coming at me. So that's what it is for me. And I'm learning to be exposed, and to be okay. That it's not always about you, boo. Sometimes the exposure is all about the individual who's experiencing your exposure.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the raw truth of who you are
That's good.
being known by others. In most cases, actually, no, all the time, it's never about you. It's always about the person that needs to benefit from what it is that you don't want people to know or see or experience. Gel Song says, ladies, you've truly blessed me with a platform. Continue to use it for the advancement of God's kingdom. He's coming back again soon. We won't have the opportunity to get ready. As Christians, we must be ready. He gives us strength and faith too. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. Oh, wow. And he that is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. Well, that's a word from the Lord.
Yes, that's my cousin Angelica. Hi, Gel.
Catherine says, good evening, ladies. Hey, Catherine Bannaby.
Catherine.
My fave.
Yes.
Sherriel Mortimer says, yes, we need to hear real girl talk. God, our mistakes, hindsight, now, and futuristic.
My mom, Sherelle. Hi, mommy.
And Shauna Lee Gray Monroe says, interesting nuggets. Thank you for tuning in, Shauna Lee.
My auntie.
Angelica says again here, only the love of the world fogs our sight on God. It's so true. It is so true. It is.
That's why we need that clarity
true.
that you talked about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you talked about it earlier too. What it really means to hey Bishop, what it really means to make peace with ourselves as women. Like, what does it look like for us to truthfully release, let go? Just like be okay with the fact that, you know what? It didn't really work out the way that I thought it would, and it's okay.
And I'm not going to know everything all the time.
Exactly.
Hurts me, but it's true. I ask a lot of questions. I have to know a lot of stuff.
I know, right? I know. And I want to be in control all the time.
All the time.
I want to have the control, but
That is so wrong, though.
Oh,
that is so
man.
wrong. Because we can't know everything.
Because, and then you wouldn't need to rely on God. Like, what would be God's purpose in our lives if we knew everything and we were always in control?
Why is up all these questions, though?
You know what? I don't know how you feel about it, Sandina, but I know for me, there was a point in time where traditional Christianity would have taught me not to question God. And I understand it. I got it. It was because, there was a point in time where, people really didn't have the respect and the awe and the reverence for God that we should. So I get it. I understand why Grammy told me not to question God. But here's what I discovered. I discovered in my questioning God that I was able to be more honest with him about what I was truthfully experiencing. And in being honest with him, I discovered some things that I was struggling with that I didn't even realize I was struggling with.
Because in the questioning of God, or when you think you're questioning God,
you're
really questioning yourself.
I was really questioning me. And so similar to you, I remember when my grandmother died, and I remember what it was like to deal with that kind of grief. But then when I had a situation where my aunt was killed, and she was brutally murdered. And I had to process that. I remember saying to God, but why didn't you protect her? Why didn't you keep her? Why didn't you stop this from happening? And I was not much older than when my grandmother would have died. My grandmother would have died on my mom's side when I was like 11 years old, and then I would have buried my aunt when I was like in the ninth grade. So I wasn't much older. And even in those moments, God would speak to me, and I would never forget the day that He said to me, and He said, "She's safe now because she's with me."
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I didn't like it because there was a part of me as her niece who wanted to protect her from the reality that she faced, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then He said to me, "But she's with me now.
Yes.
She's good. She's with me now." And I remember saying that to my dad because this is my dad's baby sister. And I remember him looking at me like, "This little girl, what you talking about?" No, no, no. It didn't have to happen like that. She didn't have to die like that. But I was like, "No, but daddy, listen. She doesn't have to deal with the cares of this world anymore. She doesn't have to run from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to worry about anybody coming after her or doing anything to her. She's with Jesus now."
Yes.
And I think for us as women, the best way for us to make peace with whatever it is that we're going through, we have been through, whatever it is that we will go through in the future, we have to look at the blessing that has come as a result of the failure, of the mistake, of the hurt, of the pain, or whatever it is. We have to see the what is the all things that are working together for our good in this situation. Because what I love about it is that Paul, in penning this, he didn't say some things work together for good for them who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. He doesn't say that there are certain things that we're going to understand and other things that we won't understand. He doesn't even open the door to like that in-depth conversation. He just says, "Okay, this is what God says. You can be confident of this.
Yes.
All things work together for good." But the caveat is for them who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So you don't love God, you want to call according to His purpose, all things don't work together for your good.
No. No. That's the facts.
That's what it is.
Yes.
That is what it is. Your last words, Sandina, as we close off today's show.
My last words. Thank you so much for having me. This has been very, very cathartic,
Yes.
very refreshing. Like I told you this morning, I prayed about our time together. And so I want to leave with everyone who's here to put a praise on whatever it is that you went through.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank God for it all, like Bishop Marvin Sapp says.
Yeah.
I thank you for it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, the crazy, the small.
Yeah.
Thank Him for it all. And so hindsight has come to be such a great teacher for us.
Yes.
And let's learn the
Yes.
lesson so we could stop
Yeah, making the same mistake.
and walking round and round. Yes. So put a praise on everything. Make peace with your past.
Celebrate it.
Yes. Completely celebrate it until further notice.
Until.
Celebrate everything.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, today has been so amazing. I don't even know where the time went, y'all. It's 5:58. I can't believe it. The time has completely gone by. But oh my gosh, like you said, Sandina, it was just so refreshing having you here today. Today's conversation has made me a better woman. And I pray for those of you that have been tuned in has made you a better woman. That's the whole point of this. We want to make ourselves better as women. I dare not try to add or take away from anything that Sandina would have said. And so I just want to encourage all of us out there to take some introspection and just really look at our lives and really consider what is it that we can celebrate. You said it so perfectly. Put a praise on it. Celebrate where you've been. Celebrate where you are right now. And let's make sure that we don't allow the mistakes that we've made to rob us of the expectation for the future. Let's not allow apathy to set in where we don't expect any good thing out of our lives. There are such great things just ahead of us. If we could only perceive what it is that God has in store for us, we would be so excited. If you knew, girlfriend, if you knew what God had coming for you, you'll be doing backflips. And you don't even know you could do backflips, but you'll be doing backflips. So listen to me. Be excited and know that, listen, God knows exactly what he's doing. He's not like man that he should lie. I hold on to that truth, y'all, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I could twist up the truth sometimes. God is not like us. He's not like us. He does not lie. He's not like us where he changes his mind. He's constant and consistent in all of his ways. Grammy say he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He never changes. So hold on to the truth of who he is and know that if he said it, he is going to do it. His word cannot return to him void. So hold on to the truth of that. Listen, y'all, we got more great shows coming your way. I'm so excited for this. Listen, this fall season of Girl Talk is lit, y'all. It is lit. Coming up next week, oh, Ayana Cartwright is going to be here in studio. We're going to be talking about frenemies. That one going to be juicy. It's going to be juicy because y'all know we got some people in our lives who's friends, but not really our friends. And we letting them into all of our private plans and future situations and stuff. And we wondering why their business look just like ours because we talk too much. But we can talk about that next week. And then the following week, my girl out of Freeport, Cara Newton, we're going to have a conversation about suicide. And this one is near and dear to me because many of you know I shared on this show before that I had a family member of mine that would have lost their life due to suicide. So it's very near and dear to my heart. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Listen, all of you first time persons who tune into our show, we're here every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. All of you who came in to listen to the lovely Sandina today, listen, I appreciate you. And I hope you have another opportunity to tune in again. I definitely have to make sure that you come back, Sandina, for another show sometime in the future. So we definitely will make that happen. Listen, y'all, we say it every day when we close. Get you some good girlfriends. You need them.
Yeah.
You need to find your tribe. Those women who can be the shoulder that you can lean on. The women who they can be the iron to sharpen iron, who can tell you, girl, don't wear that. Yeah, wear this. Don't say that. Don't date him. Yeah, no, shut this down. And in finding those women, don't forget to be that woman. Don't forget to be the shoulder that somebody can lean on, the shoulder that someone can cry on, to be the iron that sharpens iron, to be the blessing that someone needs in disguise, to be the person who says, hey, hun, yeah, no, let's just be better versions of ourselves. So don't forget to be a part of what we call the family of sisterhood, y'all. Let's hold one another accountable. Let's not be catty. Let's not attack one another. Let's love one another, y'all. We're going to be back next week, same time, same place. We got more great, amazing shows coming your way here on Glory 93.9 FM. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. So Saturday, that good morning tea with Delton and Vera comes your way at some point in time before the morning ends. You just hold on. They could be here. You just hold on and they're going to be here. And then, of course, we start all over again on Monday with one-on-one with Pastor Denzel and Pastor Aquino. And then Barbershop Talk on Wednesdays. Both occur at about 5:30 p.m. Monday and Wednesday consecutively. So we got lots of great shows coming your way here on Glory 93.9 FM. So you definitely want to keep it locked in for that. Y'all, we gone. We gone until next time. Sandina, it was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you again.
Y'all, we love y'all. Have an amazing week. Talk to y'all later.